Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles now, my name is Chase Sr. The Birds making a couple of roster moves over the weekend. What is defensive coordinator Vic Fangio's plan for rookie Jihaad Campbell? And we're going to grade the new Eagles jersey numbers. Some good ones, which can lead to, obviously, good performances. Some bad numbers, though, which could lead to players faltering and maybe getting cut. I say that tongue-in-cheek, but look good, feel good. You know that's the motto. You know what the motto is here on Eagles Now? Always want to give you the best content here on YouTube and talking about the Birds every single day year-round. So let's fly high on a Monday. We're 164 subscribers away from 120,000. So join the movement. Hit that sub button for the most elite Eagles content right here on YouTube. And with that, let's start the show. And, of course, a happy Monday to everybody out there in the Bird Gang. Hope you all had a great weekend and your weeks are off to a fantastic start. As I noted off the rip, the Eagles making a couple of roster moves over the weekend. Two roster moves that we're going to begin with here. This news made official on Sunday that the Eagles have signed wide receiver and return man Giles Jackson to the roster. And the corresponding roster move, the Eagles releasing running back Tyrion Davis-Price. I guess the official term is that they waived him, but those are the two roster moves that the Eagles made on Sunday, and now their 90-man roster is full, so if they do make another roster move, there would have to be a corresponding roster move with that. As for Giles Jackson, being signed as a UDFA by Philadelphia, he's a smaller wide receiver and return man who figures to compete with Avery Williams to be the punt and kick returner, although I think Avery Williams has the inside track at that job because the Eagles spoke very highly of him once they signed him, and then, of course, with what Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman said about him at the owners' meetings. And I think that Philadelphia is going to be able to use Williams in that type of Swiss Army knife chess piece unique type of role where he's not just going to be an offensive player, he's going to be a dynamic special teams returner as well. For Jackson, 5'9", 187, 23 years old. He started his career at Michigan. He was there in 2019, 2020, so we're talking about a player who was in college for a little while. He was an all Big Ten player as a return specialist while at Michigan. Not easy to do in one of the top conferences in college football. And then he rounded out his collegiate career with the Washington Huskies. 2021 through 2024, 2 years ago, he was catching passes from Michael Penix on a really good Washington offense that obviously made it to the national championship to play against Michigan. But that Washington team, they had a couple of really good pro-level wide receivers on that team, including a player like Jalen Polk and others. 159 catches for 1,700-plus yards in his college career with 10 touchdowns. And then you see the return splits here. 71 kickoff returns, 25 punt returns. And so an interesting add here for the Eagles to fill out the 90-man roster and then to see what he can be as a potential return player and specialist for the Birds. The relative athletic score, it gets docked a little bit as far as the overall grade on a scale of 0 to 10, just because he is a little bit smaller, as I said, in the pre-draft process, measuring in at 5'8", weighing in at 187. Obviously, you're not going to throw up a lot of bench press reps at 225 at that size, only 12. What you like there, though, the vertical jump of 37.5 inches as a return man and even as a wide receiver. Beating DBs at the line of scrimmage, you need some of that short area explosion and burst. And while the 40-yard dash was a 4.5 flat, that's in the yellow, the 20-yard split pretty good. And when you're a returner, you're trying to pick up, obviously, as many yards as possible in a short window. The 3-cone also getting an elite grade there. As for Tyrion Davis-Price, this caught me by surprise to a certain degree because I thought he had a chance maybe of making the Eagles 53 as the fourth running back. We're not talking about him being firmly entrenched in that rotation with Saquon Barkley, Will Shipley, who I think is RB2, and A.J. Dillon. But if the Eagles kept 4 RBs, on the 53. Maybe TDP had the inside track. Maybe the Eagles decide to bring him back, just not right now. Is he on this team? 2022 third-round pick by the Niners out of LSU. And he had a really good career with LSU. And he really started to come on late while with the Tigers. And he has good lower body control, good lower body balance. And I think when he gets undercut by defenders, he's able to maintain his footing. He's a very powerful runner. We saw in the preseason, too, he could pick up some really tough yards, and he runs pretty decisively. It's part of the reason why Kyle Shanahan liked him coming out of LSU, running that outside zone where you have to see hole, hit hole, pause, right? And you have to be decisive with your running style. And the Eagles then, after he was let go and didn't make the 53, and I think his second year for the Niners, Bird signed him to the practice squad, and he's kind of been up and down on the roster, off the roster as far as the practice squad, but he's made some people turn their heads a little bit when he's had some carries and opportunities in the preseason and in training camp last year, spent the entirety of the season on the Eagles practice squad. While he is a good and powerful runner with that good aforementioned contact balance, there are holes in his game, and they are holes that can really cost you in some critical spots. For instance, pass protection, not good there. Receiving, also a weakness. Sometimes he fumbles it too. Has the propensity to cough the ball up. I also think the Eagles waiving him is a sign that they like some of the currently existing running backs on this roster, not named Saquon, Shipley, A.J. Dillon. Because the Eagles, I talked about Avery Williams, they see him having a role not just as a return man and special teams player. He's in the build of a Boston Scott, and maybe he could get some running back carries. But what this also tells me is that the Eagles want to give extended looks to two running back UDFAs who they signed. And that's Shenderick Powell and that's Montrell Johnson. Those are two players who are vastly different as far as their skill sets and styles, who the Eagles probably want to give carries to and opportunities to see if down the road they could be more valuable than a player like Ty Davis-Price, who obviously they know from being inside the building. Now, next up here on the show, there was an interesting addition to the UDFA list for Philadelphia. We've talked about Lance Dixon, Maxon Hook, Brandon Johnson, Montrell Johnson, B.J. Mays, Taylor Morin, Holland Pierce, and Shenderick Powell. Darius Cooper, though, out of Tarleton State, is a player who, during our UDFA video and our UDFA grade show, we did not talk about because the Eagles had not added him as an undrafted free agent. That has changed. And during rookie minicamp over the weekend, he impressed some people. And he might be a gem. Here's some insight on a player who I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it on the practice squad, if he makes some headway in trying to be a backup wide receiver on the 53. He has some work to do, but there's a lot of talent there. He really is dangerous and explosive on slants, go routes, and then given his size, contested catches. He ran in the pre-draft process a 4.49 40-yard dash. He's also really strong, built along the likes of A.J. Brown. We showed you that photo. He's stocky. 18 reps of 225 pounds on the bench press. And there you see, that's a good job by producer Reed. Philly guy, hometown hero, just back in Philly over the weekend. You know him well. He's been super chatting the show for a long time, of course, before he got the job here. So 18 reps at 225 for a wide receiver. You don't really see that often. Guy like A.J. Brown, he could put that up. And he's 213 pounds. That helps him go up, climb the ladder, come down with some of those 50-50 balls. And last year, he was the best wide receiver in FCS. 76 catches for 1,449 yards for the season, alongside 14 touchdowns. How about how he ended the year, though? And Tarleton State able to make a little bit of a run in the FCS playoffs. 100-plus receiving yards in 7 of 8 games to end the year. And we're talking about a couple of games with 110, 120, 130, 140-plus yards. This guy can play. Refined game, good footwork, Obviously didn't have great quarterback play at that level. I want to see what he can do, obviously with an uptick in competition that he's going up against, but with some better quarterback play. And by the way, Kyle McCord, the only quarterback at rookie minicamp, and I want to see if they can link up. Cooper, that's a name to watch. Still to come here on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. What is Vic Fangio's plan for Jihaad Campbell, who the Eagles moved up from 32 to 31 in order to get the linebacker edge rusher combo out of Alabama? And then we're going to have some fun to round out the show, grading some new Eagles jersey numbers. Before we do that, got to give a shout out to one of our brand new sponsors, our friends at Brunt. And they sent me a wonderful pair of work boots. And a lot of you don't know this about me. Obviously, I love football, and I know ball. I talk football for a living. But back in high school, woodworking was actually my favorite class that I took. Shout out to Bayard Rustin, class of 2010 in Westchester. How about it? A lot of you don't know that about me. But yeah, I love woodworking. Woodshop, my favorite class back in high school. I don't know. I just love building things, creating things, turning projects into something that you can have forever and be proud of. And then sometimes making things for others. You give them that homemade wood item, and you see that look on their face. They really like it. So what I'm showing you right here is a butterfly table that I made after my mom passed away. And when she passed away, she said, anytime you see a butterfly, I want you to think of me. And so I bought all of the pieces, sanded the wood table down, and then I wood burned that butterfly on the tabletop, stained it, of course, put some polyurethane on it, and now I have that as a memory of my mom in my bedroom. So I love woodworking, and choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt Workwear finally ended that trade-off, designing boots that withstand the toughest job sites while feeling as comfortable as your favorite sneakers. Founder Eric Girard, no relation to Trace Girard, Trizzy Trace here at Chat Sports, grew up blue collar, and he started Brunt after his friends in the trades encouraged him to start a workwear brand that was really built for them. That's why all Brunt products are named after the guys that he grew up with. These might be the most comfortable work boots on the planet. I'm telling you that right now, but they also deliver real performance on the job. Whether you need waterproof, safety toe, or soft toe, pull on, or lace up. I personally like the lace up. Just works for my feet. I have large feet, and I work out all the time, so my feet do get a little bit beat up. Well, Brunt has you covered. They're so confident these boots will blow you away that they even let you try it on the job risk-free. So listen up. For a limited time, our listeners, our viewers, get $10 off at Brunt when you use our code CHAT at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com/chat. Use that code CHAT, and you're all set. And after you buy, do us a favor. When they ask where you heard about Brunt, tell them that Chase Sr., Eagles Now, and Chat Sports sent you. It's not just a durable work boot. It's also very, very comfortable. We'll put that link down below in the show notes, and that link is also attached to the pinned comment of today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. All right, next up on the show, what is Eagles defensive coordinator's Vic Fangio's plan for rookie Jihaad Campbell? We're going to get to that here in a second, but the Eagles over the weekend released a video of what draft weekend was like in the war room with Philadelphia, and obviously the marquee figure of that video, Eagles general manager Howie Roseman, and it documented how Howie was trying to trade up in the draft. He tried to do that on a couple of occasions, trying to trade with multiple teams. Those teams didn't want to trade with Howie and the Eagles. That was obviously on day one when the Eagles were trying to matriculate up for Jihaad Campbell. And then on days 2 and 3, it was all about the valuable players who the Eagles scouting staff and organization really liked, and Howie and the Eagles were trying to find ways to get those players. Well, within that video, we saw Vic Fangio's reaction to Howie telling him, Vic, we're taking Jihaad Campbell out of Alabama. Vic Fangio, as we all know, Dunmore guy, neighboring town of Scranton, a former iron, steel, and railroad town. It's tough, it's grungy, it's gritty, and Vic Fangio is an old school type of cat. Take your lunch pail to work kind of guy. Doesn't really smile that much. Except when Howie told him, Vic, we're drafting Jihaad Campbell. That's as happy as I've ever seen Vic Fangio. Look at that smile from him, putting out his hand to shake Howie's hand. Really cool moment. And I think Howie and Jeffrey Lurie knew we got ourselves a steal. We tried to trade up to get Campbell. Well, we didn't need to trade up all those spots. We only moved up one spot, gave up one of our 4 fifth-round picks to the Chiefs, and we got our guy. Incredible value. And I saw this over the weekend, too, what an NFL executive said about how Fangio plans to use Campbell. Jihaad Campbell was one of the higher grades I've given for a linebacker, this executive said. Vic Fangio will use Zack Baun off the ball and Campbell on the ball, and that is huge. They will be blitzers in the simulated 4-man pressure that Vic runs. It can be like Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman in San Francisco. Look, I look at all the analytics here on the channel on YouTube, and I know our age demographic is wide-ranging. We have kids. We have teenagers. We have people, myself and Reed's age, who watch the show. Reed's dad, shout out to him, Mr. Barkus. He watches the program as well. We also have folks who tune into Eagles Now who are 70, 80 years old. Point here being, some of you know how dominant Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman were when they were playing for the San Francisco 49ers. Some of you don't. If you're not familiar with what number 52 and 53 brought to the football field, they were tremendous. Patrick Willis is on his way to being in the Hall of Fame. 5-time first-team All-Pro. And then a lot of you might be familiar with Navarro Bowman because he played at Penn State. He was a 4-time first-team All-Pro and probably also would have gone to the Hall of Fame if he didn't suffer a couple of injuries, ACL, MCL, and then an Achilles injury, which back then, that was a death sentence for a lot of players. Sometimes it still is. But they injected so much fear into the opposition week in, week out. And under Vic Fangio, when he was with the Niners, under Jim Harbaugh, he used them in a couple of different ways. They were great against the run. They could be used as blitzers. They were excellent in coverage. Doesn't that sound familiar with what Zack Baun did last year with the edge rusher background and then him turning into a marvelous off-ball linebacker in coverage, good against the run, and what Jihaad Campbell brings to the table as a player who can be used as an edge rusher? Had 5 sacks last year, was recruited out of IMG as an edge. And then Alabama had some injuries at off-ball a couple of years ago. And Alabama was like, well, let's put him at off-ball linebacker. And he passed that test with flying colors. So if Vic Fangio can use Jihaad Campbell, if he can stay healthy, let's hope so, and Zack Baun, like Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis, Eagles defense is going to continue to be a stellar unit on that side of the ball, and that right there, ladies and gentlemen, should get fans fired up. And I do like the versatility that Campbell brings to the table. Very unique player, and I think that anytime somebody is versatile, you have to tap into that skill set and maximize that type of person. For instance, for me, I think one of my strengths as a broadcaster, you put me in front of the camera on any microphone, I'm going to be able to talk about any sport. I'm going to be able to talk pop culture, politics, even though a lot of you don't want me to do that. I can just talk about anything, and I can try to be insightful, informative, entertaining in talking about any subject matter, right? For Jihaad Campbell, if he can be a blitzer, if he can be an edge rusher, and he can be a run stuffer and an off-ball linebacker, you use that skill set to your advantage for your defense. Lastly here on the show, let's take a look at some new Eagles jersey numbers. Some that I like, some that I don't like. If I were to choose a jersey number, obviously, it depends on what position you're playing. 3 and 20 are my favorite numbers. 3 for Allen Iverson, 20, of course, for Brian Dawkins, who has been the background on my phone, I don't know, for the last 10 to 15 years. I haven't changed it because he epitomizes what it's like to be an Eagle and how to live life, full of energy, full of dog mentality, and hungry dogs run faster. So some jersey numbers for new Eagles. Adoree Jackson's going to be rocking the number 8. I think that's really fresh. Jackson, 8. Lamar Jackson also wears number 8. It just looks clean. Josh Uche, number 13. A little bit of a weird number for a pass rusher. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will wear 14. That was last worn by Kenneth Gainwell. Avery Williams at 18. That's so-so for me. I think A.J. Dillon gets a solid number at number 29. Terrace Marshall, maybe you just cut him tomorrow. A wide receiver wearing 46? That's awful. I mean, that's one less number than the long snapper in Charlie Hewlett, who has been in the league for a very long time. 46 for Terrace Marshall. You just look slower and not as dynamic at wide receiver if you're wearing that. Patrick Johnson is back with the Eagles after being with the Giants last year. He previously wore the number 48. He gets that back. I like 52 for Azeez Ojulari. Kendall Lamb, 74. Not a bad number. Kenyon Green, 76. Also a solid offensive line number. Kylan Granson getting the number 83. I don't love 83 for a wide receiver, but I think 83, given the symmetrical nature of that number, looks good on a tight end. Kylan Granson's also a smaller tight end. I think that'll make him look a little bit bigger. And then Harrison Bryant, he gets number 85. As for the rookies, Kyle McCord wearing the number 19. Now, when he was at Syracuse, let me just double check this. Kyle McCord wore the number 6 for Mark Sanchez. When you're a rookie quarterback, you're a 6th-round pick, you don't have a great opportunity to choose a great quarterback number. 19, I can guarantee you, if he's with the Eagles for multiple years, I have a feeling he's going to move off of that. Good number for Mac McWilliams, cornerback out of UCF, getting number 22. That was Keely Ringo's former number. He changed numbers. Andrew Makuba, 24. I like that for him. Jihaad Campbell, number 30. He's going to look clean in that. Smile Mondome, wearing the number 42. He's going to have to change that if he makes the 53. Drew Kendall, 66. So-so for a center. I like 73 for Cameron Williams. 78 for Miles Hinton. That's a good one. Antoine Powell-Ryland. This screams rookie contributor when he's wearing number 93. And then Ty Robinson, also known as Vanilla Gorilla, wearing the number 95. I think that'll lead to him having an impact season as well. So I had to give some thoughts on some new Eagles jersey numbers. Appreciate everybody for watching the show. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll be back later today on this Monday, May 5th with another Eagles show. So that's why you subscribe, turn on your notifications. Therefore, anytime I push out a show, you'll be notified. And on top of all of the Eagles content that I give you here on YouTube, I also put out so much Eagles content on my social media pages. It's at Chase_Senior on X and Instagram.